Welcome back to the lunch table, food for thought. I'm Nico Blitz. Make sure you hit that subscribe button at the bottom left-hand corner. We're also on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, YouTube, and the beloved iHeartRadio app. My next guest, he was actually on the show before we had this video platform going on, so you can actually go on our SoundCloud. It's on there. Louie Franco, everybody. He just released his debut album,
Yes,
Why Am I Like This?
Yes, sir. Man, I'm happy to be back, man. It's great to see the video cameras actually rolling out. It's good to see the lunch table growing a little bit.
Well, shoot, it's good to see you grow, man. I think
man.
back then all you had was, I know for sure you had Sientes out.
Yep.
And I think after listening to the album, we've had conversations in which I told you, like, yo, like, you should really capture that mixture between hip-hop and Latin because nobody's really doing that right now.
Right.
So the first couple songs on Why Am I Like This, I was like, okay, cool. He really took that.
Yeah, I definitely took that advice. And, I mean, personally, too, whenever I make music that's, infused with that Latin flavor, that reggaeton or dancehall element, I feel at home, to be honest. I feel like really, really good. Not to say that whenever I make regular hip-hop or rap, I don't feel at home, but it just feels good, especially as a Latino myself, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I'm really doing something that touches my heart. It sounds kind of weird, but,
No, I totally get you. And it definitely touches your people, too, because the Pass the Note event we had back in January, that was really cool.
Right.
But I didn't get to really see the the epitome of what you can do as a performer up until we had Mueve back in June.
Right.
And so when it was all of us, you brought like a gang of like your family and friends, and every time like you had those Latin-esque songs, like they were going fucking crazy. And I was like, yo, like this is it. Like this is how I know like everything that you're doing right now is going in the right direction because you got family and friends really fucking with it.
Yeah, you know what's funny? My parents, like I think we touched on this briefly with the last interview we had, but they really didn't start to get into or start to believe in the craft until Sientes came. And then Sientes, they were like, man, like, we didn't know that you were actually making music and you were speaking Spanish. It's crazy. And now, like, I remember I dropped Mueve, which is coincidentally the name of the song as well. And they were, like, blown away. They're like, we're so proud of you. Like, and it's funny for me, like, I dropped out of college, right? So, like, I went straight to music for the most part. And my parents really weren't happy about that. But once I started making music that kind of caught their ear, like Sientes and Mueve, they were like, yo, like, you're super talented and we're behind you 100%. So.
Well, I think a part of it, too, is the fact that, well, let's take this shot before anything, bro. Yo, Louie Franco brought the Hennessy Black
you
for
feel
that
me?
Ass. For the record, I haven't had breakfast or lunch yet by the time this is recorded.
This is your breakfast,
yes.
And hopefully you'll have lunch soon.
Yes. Hopefully this is dinner, too. I don't know. We'll see. Cheers, bro.
Man.
Cheers. For the record, Hennessy Black is a lot smoother than regular Hennessy. Ugh. All right.
Let's get it.
I think part of it, too, is the fact that, and I'll use this as a reference, because when I started interviewing Filipino artists, my parents were like, oh, like, you're getting big. This is crazy. I didn't know you could actually do this type of stuff.
Right.
My point being, when you start making records that can really relate to the culture that your parents really grew up on, I think it makes them feel a lot more related to the craft.
Right.
Because 9 times out of 10, us being... Are you first generation?
Yeah.
Okay, so my point being, us being first generation, there's like a huge divide in culture.
Right.
Because our parents grew up, mine in the Philippines, yours
Mexico,
in Mexico and shit. And... us growing up in America, like that huge divide, like people don't understand how big that actually is because we don't relate to the same things at all.
We grew up differently, and they grew up differently, and then I think we were really blessed with the way we grew up, especially being here in the U.S. But, to your point, I think that, once they heard me rapping or singing in Spanish and using those elements that are familiar with the culture that we're used to and they're used to, I think that they were really, really they were able to connect with it more,
Yeah.
It's funny, though, because when I wasn't making that music, I was really actually scared of making that type of music because I wanted to be known back then like, oh, I just want to make hip-hop. I want to make rap, you know? And the reason behind that was because there's not a lot of Latinos in rap or hip-hop, you know? So I wanted to be that. I want to break the barrier. I want to be the first one that's up there, et cetera, whatever. But once I started veering into this Latino culture, I started to really get accustomed to it. It's funny though, because my mom, she used to listen to my music, and I used to say, like, fuck that, bitch, that. And she used to be like, why do you have to say all these words?
Bitch, I'm the man.
I still have that song, right? I haven't got away from that yet, but yeah, thankfully they're on board, and that's really important for me, especially being in Los Angeles and they're still in the Bay Area. I'm far away from them, but they know that I'm out here, chasing a dream.
Let me ask you this: what's your parents' favorite song of you?
Mueve. It's Mueve and
Okay.
Sientes. But Mueve, I remember when I made Mueve, they were like, I was still living with them actually, or not, excuse me, I was visiting them for Christmas, and they called me up to their room, and they're like, is this you? Like, is this really you?
Oh, shit.
And they were playing it on their
Wow.
little Alexa pod thing or whatever.
Alexa, play Mueve.
It worked too. It was like, Alexa, play Louie Franco Mueve, and she played it. I was
Oh,
like,
wow.
so cool.
That's tight.
But yeah, they were playing it like, is this you? This really you? Like, you made the beat, you did everything, you wrote it, and I'm like, yeah. And they were like you can see it in their face, they were like so like surprised in a way, but also really proud. And I was like, this is so cool. You're like, this is what I live for. You know, like my parents being behind me on everything. That
Yeah, because honestly, bro, and I have this conversation a lot in which the hardest thing to do is really convince your family and friends that what you're doing is legitimate.
Man, it's been a journey, man. Like, I'm telling you, like, I started making music when I was 14, and I can tell you many stories where, people would laugh at me. People would, like, no one believed in me. Like, literally nobody. And I was basically, like, I started, it sounds so cliche, but from the bottom. Like, I didn't have any fans, no support system, nobody, really. And then slowly but surely, like, I never gave up. I remember one specific thought or memory that I have from high school. I was passing out, like, my first, like, mixtape. Like, burned it off.
What was the mixtape called?
I don't even remember. I really don't remember. I think it was Lonely Stoner or something like that.
Okay.
Like, something like that. I was like, it was stupid. But whatever. It was still my first project or whatever. And I was passing it out. And I remember specifically one person, I don't even know who they were. They took it and they just flung it across the hallway. And that memory always stuck with me because I was like, you know what? I didn't say nothing. I went to class. I was all right. It's cool.
Yeah.
But that memory stuck with me. And that memory among so many other memories that I had, like, similar to that kind of made me thrive and made me go harder. Like, let me practice my craft. Let me practice my cadence. Let me practice my production, everything to get to where I am today. And I'm still far from where I want to be. But now some of those same people that used to hate on me, guess what? Now they're like, yo,
They're fucking with you
yeah,
now.
oh, that last shit you put out, that shit slap. That different on the weekend, that beat knocks. It's funny. And I appreciate that. I was able to make some non-believers into some believers. But, but that's still, all those memories, it made me thrive a little bit.
Yeah, and I think Steph Curry said it best, and I have a shirt that says this. It says "Fueled by Doubt."
Yeah, 100%.
And that's the most realist shit that I think any of us can learn from, because I'm the exact same way, dude. And I could go through a laundry list of my memories about when motherfuckers were doubting me, but it's like, at the end of the day, I think it takes a hater to know what also love is too. Because with the amount of people that you have throwing your CDs away and shit, there was at least one person who sat down and listened to
and
the
there
shit.
was, honestly, I remember in the same mixtape, actually, I had class with this girl that really liked this one song I made. I forget the song name, I forget most of it, but she would recite it word for word. And back then, I would take it for granted, to be honest with you. I was like, you know what, that's cool, but I was so focused on the people that didn't accept my music, which was the wrong thing to do. And I was still growing up. I was like 16 years old, but
wow, that's crazy.
But there was still fans. Like, there was a few people like had my music in their little iPod shuffles and like whatever they used to use back then. But like,
I think it's human nature to. I mean, granted, there's people who try not to get everybody to like them, but I think it's human nature to try to just want somebody to like you.
Yeah,
in a
100%.
sense,
And
so it's kind of like when you have somebody who, can recite all the words to your song. You're in the back of your mind, you're kind of like, oh yeah, I'm good.
it's almost as you
kind of
expect that a little bit, and you don't appreciate it.
In a sense, yeah. It's it's kind of like they're in this like other tier where you can kind of just keep them in your pocket. It's like, you're good, so I can like keep you over there, but there's like a group of people who you're trying to still like convince, like, hey, I want to keep you, I want to put you on this side.
Right. And that can be a good thing, right? And it was a good thing for me, but I told myself last year when I moved to LA, I said, I'm going to stop using this energy, this bad energy, and stop focusing on what other people think about me, specifically the ones that don't like my music, and focus on what I like and what my fans like. That's it. You know, I'm gonna stop letting that, in a sense, negative energy let my music thrive from that. I'm not gonna do that no more. You know,
100%, man.
so I did it for a while, and I think I got to a point where, you know what, I'm confident with my music, you know, and myself, to a point where I'm just gonna do what I like.
Yeah.
And my fans obviously like it, and hopefully a lot more people will eventually. So.
Well, you know, I think also, too, just being around you and the group of people that you're around, you have, like, a really good support system.
Right.
Shout out to De La Music.
Yes, sir.
You know, veteran in the game. Just yesterday, he said he's been producing for 10 years, but actually 11 now. So, you know, being under him, like, what type of advice has he given you in terms of music?
Ooh, I don't want to spill this. A lot. You know, me and Dayla have been working together. He's been my manager for a little bit over a year. Him and Jose. Shout out Jose. And I have seen, and there's so much stuff, a laundry list of all the growth that I've seen and been through over the year. But just to keep it really general and simple, I have seen most of the growth within the last year with this team than the past 9 years that I've been making music.
Yeah.
So they've been a big part of my growth recently. The last album I pushed out was Redline, which was the one with Cientes. And they were a big part of the creativity side of it, the promotion side of it. They were able to kind of get me out of my shell a little bit. If you don't remember, when I was here last year, I was really like nervous. Like I was super nervous.
Oh yeah, you're talking up a storm right now, but I love it. I love it.
And I was super nervous. I remember I came out to LA. I met up with you. I met up with J Main. Shout out R&B Bass. And I was super nervous. And I was like, man, I've never been in this territory, like talking about my music openly and making videos on Instagram talking about, yo, check out my new single, blah, blah, blah. Like,
Yeah.
I've never done that. I've always been like, yo, I post up a little cover picture and just say, hey, check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Link in bio, and that's it. And so, like, it may seem so simple, but, like, it's something that was really hard for me to do. But they helped me through it, you know. They helped me through the growing pains, and they gave me a lot of feedback on the music that I was putting out. And it was all for growth, you know.
I mean, how specifically do they help you like get over that hump? Because, I mean, I've found that it takes an entire village to convince me that I need to do something.
I think trust, because, like you said, De La's a veteran in the game, so I think that I would rather listen to him than myself sometimes, because I know that he has a lot of experience, and that's what he's here for. You know, like we made this agreement. I came into the team knowing that not only am I getting a manager, but a mentor in a way, you know? And for the last 10 years, even before he came along, I've been doing it by myself for most of the time. So I can definitely use some mentorship. So that's why I was like, you know what? I'm sure he knows what he's talking about. Let me listen to him, you know? And that's kind of what the dynamic is now. So
Amen to that, man.
Yeah.
So constructing the project, how long did it actually take for you to construct it? Because all I remember was you called us up and said, hey, I want you to listen to everything that I got so far.
Right.
I'm like, all right, cool. And we sat through maybe like, 30 songs or so?
I think 20.
20. Yeah, it was a handful. And then you cut it down to maybe like 10 or around that.
Yeah.
So then how long did it actually take for you to create this?
The process started around, I want to say November of last year. And I had no idea that I was even making this album. Like usually, like I just make music, right? It's like my work ethic, I guess you want to call it. Like the way I work is really, I guess, different. I just make music whenever I feel like making music, and sometimes I won't have it. I'm like, you know what? Nothing's coming out. I'm hitting a writer's block or producer's block, whatever you want to call it, and I stopped for a while. But November, I had moved into the LA apartment in October. Didn't make any music for like a month. I was kind of I was not inspired for whatever reason. And then November came, December came. December I made different on the weekend, and I went back to my parents' house in December. And I made Mueve at their house, and that's when I started getting inspired again. Yeah, so like after I came back home from that, I had 2 songs, Different on the Weekend and Mueve, which I dropped beforehand either way. But
both bangers, by the way.
Thank you.
Just saying.
Go check it out. But yeah, after that, January, February, March, I was kind of working on it. And it's funny because I even told Dayla this. I was like, I know I want to make a project. I don't know what it's going to be called yet, but let's set a date, because I know that like a month before it drops, the pressure's going to hit, and that's when I work the best. A lot of those songs, like maybe half of those songs were made within a month.
Wow.
Of the release date. Like and the other ones were just kind of scattered around from like the last 6 months.
So which ones did you make within that month span?
I finished Whole Vibe, which me and De La produced together.
I'm so
Like-
sad about that song, bro. And
I know why.
And you know exactly why. Let me just say this. Before we get into everything that got made within the month, Louie shows me this song called Whole Vibe.
Whole Vibe.
Whole Vibe, right? And then he's trying to construct like the chorus. And I'm over here like, yo, you should put in, I don't know why, you about that whole life. And I was like, yo, like, he was rocking with it initially. Me
too.
I think
Della
everyone was
too,
rocking
bro.
with it.
And then I'm in the hotel room with Tay, and she's like, yo, let's listen to Louie's album. I'm like, bet. And then as soon as like the instrumental played, I told her,
You
I
already
was
knew.
like, yo, peep this shit.
I got
I
writer
help
credits
with
on
this.
this.
I got writer credits. And then it hit, and then you said
I
something
said waste
like,
time.
I don't know why you want to waste time. I
Yeah.
said, oh, man. I was so mad.
I think I had to make an executive decision there and just
Hey, it's
keep
okay,
it.
man. I appreciate
You know what though?
it.
I kept the melody that you did and everything. I was really
Yeah.
trying to keep it close to the words, like the whole cadence and everything. And I tried my best, and I hope that you're not too disappointed in the change.
No. I'm fine with it, man. I mean, there's gonna be a little bit of bitterness that just sits in the back of my head. Nah, we good though. So then you made
So
Whole
whole
Vibe.
vibe. Let me think of it's 13 songs. Que onda? The slapper.
Yo, that shit knocks.
That shit knocks.
That shit fucking knocks.
So whole vibe, que onda, pienso. God, I can't think right now. Actually, hold on, because I'm drawing a blank here. Don't want to repeat. We finished More About You within the last month. Pienso already said that. So about 5 songs.
Okay.
And the rest were scattered around within the last 6 months. But
Yeah.
yeah, like a lot of the songs that we listened to were cut out. You know, a lot of them didn't make the cut.
Yeah.
And then these new 5 songs came in, and then the other like 7 solid ones we had already kind of complemented the other 5 new ones, and the project became what it is.
That's why I think the project has a good direction between like I think the first maybe like 3 or 4 songs is really on like that Spanish shit. Pardon my French. I've been drinking like damn near every day for the past week. So, sorry, as I pull up Louie's project, the first 4 songs up until Que Onda really have like that Spanish vibe to it.
Yep.
Then it gets very Bay Area with Different on the Weekend.
Yes, sir.
And
She's like, I can't believe you just took that shot.
what?
I see you digesting it.
I am.
The sweat's rolling on your
Bro.
forehead, like,
Hey, shout out to CR for turning on the AC, by the
oh
way.
man, for real.
I don't think we'd be
I
able
came
to
in here
survive this
sweating.
But like how does this how do you construct like the order of it?
Shout out to CR Crucial over there. We actually I think the night of or the two nights before it dropped, I was like, yo, I'm headed to the Bay Area for work, and I had barely finished everything, like mixing everything, and I was like, yo, Charlie Cook, shout out DJ Cook, I need help with the track list. That was like the most important thing for me. Like, listen to the album. I sent them the link and everything, and they took like literally like 4 hours, like back to back, just listening to it, which I really appreciate.
Wow.
And they came up with like an order like overnight. Like, yo, this is the order we think. You do whatever you want to it after that. So I got to the hotel room I was staying at in the Bay Area, and I called my cousin over, and I was like, yo, we got to listen to this album real quick and check it out and make the track list, finalize it. So me, my cousin, and Don, my boy Don, we sat there for like 2 hours and just kind of like plugged and played everything and submitted it right then and there. Like after that, like boom.
Damn.
Yep. Crunch
2
time.
hours. That's probably a total like 10 hours of people just
You
listening
have
to your
to,
music
yeah. Like it's
over
very,
and over
like, you
again.
can't just randomize it and just put it out. It needs to be in some type of order, and hopefully people enjoyed the track list. I know that, it might have not been perfect for everyone, but I think it was perfect for me. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with a project, called "Why Am I Like This," right?
yep.
What's the message that you were trying to portray to everybody? Like,
Well, I think that for a long time my music wasn't really Like it was banging, but it wasn't really telling the story, you know. And I think that's one thing I wanted to change. And some of these songs tell a pretty vague story, and I'm trying to get into kind of writing more about myself and how I feel inside. And why am I like this? Really, the title comes from me asking myself, literally, why am I like this? And for those who don't really know, I go through a lot of anxiety, a lot of self-doubt. As confident as I am with my music, sometimes I have my moments, just like everyone else, where I'm not confident. I doubt myself. I compare myself to other people. You know, like I think we all do this to an extent. And on top of that, I went through, you know, some heartache for the last, you know, couple of years that kind of, you know, put me in a hole a little bit, to be honest. And so I got myself into this hole, and I started to kind of not really take care of myself mentally and physically. And it kind of got me into this depressive state, honestly. Like I was going through depression a little bit. And, you know, moving to LA, I thought it would help. It really didn't help a lot. You know, lucky for me, I met a lot of, you know, new people out here that I've surrounded myself with a lot of good people. And I've, you know, I feel like I'm coming out towards the end of it. But that's the whole, you know, concept of the album for the most part. I know there's some bangers in there. But it also describes how I also ask myself, like, why am I like this? Sometimes I cope with my, you know, with my issues, my inside issues with trying to go out and trying to have fun and trying to forget. Different on the Weekend just actually explains that in the other way around. Like, it's talking about people.
I need to hear this shit because that shit is such a Bay Area banger, bro. I want to know how deep you can really get into Different on the Weekend.
I don't want to go too deep into it. It's really not that deep. It's really just a banger, but it really just is a banger.
It's like, honestly, bro, it just slaps.
But like, it's talking about why some people act different when they're on some shit, you know? And that goes for me too. Like, you know, whenever you're like, I feel some sort of way, I'm like, you know what? Like, fuck it. Let's go out. Let's go hit the city, whatever. Let's go to this fucking club, whatever the fuck the case may be. And you sip some heme, you start acting a little different. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you know, I'm appreciating the song a lot more because I was over here thinking about you were addressing a girl.
It's very record, general. Like, obviously, I'm, you know, gonna pump myself up a little bit, right?
But, you know, like, it's kind of cool when you could think about the duality of the record because it's like, not only am I talking about a girl acting different on the weekend because she has her 9 to 5 throughout the week and shit, and then she just want to blow it off on the weekend.
Which is not a bad thing, by the way.
It's not a bad thing at all. But, like, also coming from, like, a man's perspective, it's like, men also do that type of shit too. So by the time the weekend starts, it's like, you know, we act a little bit different too. We don't act like we have that 9 to 5 job.
In a way, I was weak for a long time because I didn't want to deal with my issues head on. I was like, you know what? I can't cope with this right now. I need to get out of my house. Like, I can't be alone right now. Need to hit up my boys. Need to, you know, get a bottle. Need to, you know, get on. You feel me? Like, you know, and kind of get away for a little bit. But those problems come back tenfold the next fucking morning. That fucking headache ain't good. And my anxiety, like just being a person with anxiety, just hits like a motherfucker the next morning. So I kind of learned, like, you know what, like it's, you know, it's all good. It's all good to have fun. But I think that for me specifically, I'm gonna talk for myself. That I needed to kind of, you know, take my problems head on. And kind of deal with, you know, whatever went wrong and accept it, leave it in the past, and then, you know, get on the path for self-improvement.
Of course, bro, because I think whenever any of us have some sort of anxiety that happens in our lives, right? Like, we tend to distract ourselves from actually thinking, like, okay, like, why am I actually anxious? Like, why am I still doing this type of shit?
Right.
For example, right, the other day I had, like, mad insomnia. And granted, I might have had an unsweetened iced tea from McDonald's maybe a couple hours before I tried to sleep. But I found myself thinking about, like, okay, like, what is it that I really need to focus on, and what is it that, like, I've been kind of pushing to the back of my mind and not really thinking of.
Right.
And I found that I was thinking about the direction of the lunch table. I was thinking about the direction for myself in radio.
Right.
And once I actually got to those thoughts, I was like, okay, like, I'm not quite there yet about where I really want to think about where I'm at. However, I'm one step closer as opposed to, yo, I'm just going to drink another shot. I'm going to smoke another blunt so I can keep on putting that back to the back burner. It's kind of like when you have a shit ton of dishes.
You're like, I'll deal with it next tomorrow.
And you're just tomorrow. Like, you know what? Like, tomorrow's good.
You know what else it relates to? It's like getting, and I'll say this with confidence, I let myself go as far as, like, physicality goes. I was really fit at one point about 2 years ago.
Hey,
and
man, look, I was about to say, you weren't there, but then Della showed me a photo of you from like a couple years ago, and I was like, yo, that's crazy.
And you know, I go back to when I was going through depression. The way I used to cope with it too, besides drinking, was eating. Like I found comfort in food. Like I really I wouldn't be hungry sometimes, and I'd be like, you know what, I just want to eat, you know. And so I did it, and I have no shame in it because I know a lot of people go through this, and I'm tired of people putting shame on anxiety and people that go through anxiety and calling them soft and all this other shit.
Nah, bro.
It's a real issue, you know. And like for me, like I've had friends that tell me like stop thinking about it, like just you know grow some balls or whatever, right? Like no, like it's not about that. It's not about you know don't challenge my masculinity about it. It's just the fact that I'm going through it in some sort of way. We're built different, you know.
Because
what I'm saying?
honestly, I love that you said that, bro. Because I think the way in which you can be manly, if you really want to talk about it being manly, is that you face your challenges head on.
Right.
The fact that you don't own up to the fact that you're feeling anxious about something or something is worrying you and you just decide to put it off to the side, no, that's not manly at all, bro.
Yeah.
The fact that you can challenge it and you try to figure out what exactly is fucking me up right now is more manly than putting it away.
Right. And I think there's a stigma with that type of feeling and emotion, like, oh, you're not supposed to show these emotions. Like on Instagram, you're supposed to be happy, and I get that. Like, who's gonna go on Instagram and be like, I'm so sad, right? But my whole goal is bringing awareness to it. Like, you know what? I go through this, and now that I've kind of fought it head on, and I'm still fighting it head on. I still have my issues. I still have my days, you know, where I'm not 100%. But I want to start to bring light to it in some sort of capacity and help others. Like, you know what? Like, I know I bring the bangers on the CD, and I talk about this and I talk about that. But you know what? Like, let me shed some light on how I go through it, and maybe I can help other people either by talking about it. Talking about your issues helps. Like, people don't understand how big that is.
Yeah.
Like, just talking about it. Like, whenever I'm feeling down, I call up my boy Essay, actually. Shout out Essay. And he listens. Like, it's my childhood friend. I'm like, you know what, bro? Like, I'm feeling like this right now.
Wow.
I'm going through this right now. I'm thinking like this right now. And he just kind of snaps me back into reality. Because a lot of the thoughts that I have that bring me anxiety are just I'm just me overthinking a bunch of shit that's not even reality. You know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, like, I'll give you a music example. Like, man, like, you know, I didn't get a lot of traction on my Apple Music today. Like, are people really fucking with it? Like, am I really doing this like right? Am I in out of my head right now? Like,
for the record, I go through that shit too.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And maybe you don't want, they don't want to talk about it, but it's very.
That's
normal,
why I feel like, back then a lot of people didn't really have things to. Let me rephrase before I fuck myself up, right? I think back then, like, people had, like, a finite amount of things to be anxious for, but living in the social media realm, too, it's just, like...
It brings a whole new...
It's like, now we have to be anxious about the numbers that we pull in. Yeah. Now we have to be anxious about... Like, because, you know what I mean? It's like how... Like, we see numbers as such, like a credible thing right now. So it kind of just, like, adds on to the finite amount of things, and now it becomes infinite.
Social media is definitely a game, as far as, like, the way an artist looks at it, DJ, radio personality, all these creatives out here, they really rely on Instagram to kind of be their portfolio in a way. Recently, my Instagram got hacked or deleted, whatever.
Hack that 50K.
Hacked that almost 3K, and it's not a lot.
Shout out to George Lopez.
Yo, that promo was fucking hilarious, man.
Yo, but it worked.
It did work. Yo, so check it out. Me and my team, we were like going through with the Explore page, and there was a moment where Instagram had a bunch of fuck ass like Instagram posts about check out Ellen DeGeneres' son rapping like blah blah blah, and it was so fake, and everyone knew it. Like, a normal person would be like, yeah, it's fucking bullshit, but let me go check out this stupid ass person's page anyway. We did that, like, on some fuck shit. We were like, yo, it actually was Daylight's idea. It was like, yo, we should say that.
Manager's idea.
We were like, we should pretend you're George Lopez's son and just put your fucking video up and see what happens. I'm like, fuck it. Like, what's the worst that can happen?
Yo.
Fuck, dude, that video got like 200,000 like views on the on the post. And I got like 300 followers overnight. I swear to God, like it was kind of crazy. And I got hella DMs like, yo, like your music slaps, like blah, blah, blah. And I was like, and some people really were so oblivious to it. They were like, are you really George Lopez's son? Some dude was like, I grew up watching you on
Oh, hell nah, bro. Continue on to know. You gotta spill that whole.
I was like,
I grew up watching your dad.
Bro, I was like, I can't believe, and I told him like, yo, it's a fucking joke, all right? Like, I thought it was gonna be obvious, and I think for most people it was, but some people really thought I was George Lopez's son, and I was like, yo, it's a fucking joke, all right? I'm just trying to get my music out there. It was some fuck shit, but it was funny as fuck, and I got 300 followers out of it, so.
Hey man, look, that's how you know how to finesse the internet, bro.
You have to nowadays, like, dude, freaking, what's his name? Blueface. He started off as a meme, and no disrespect, like, fuck it, he's up there, he's making moves, and fuck with his music, but Blueface started off as a meme. I remember I saw him in this video, and someone put a Courage the Cowardly Dog over voice on it.
God.
And people were just sharing the fuck out of it. But not only that though, like you have now everyone knows like, oh yeah, that's Blueface, that one rapper that raps like this.
Yeah.
And that's how he became.
Well, honestly,
I mean, his music obviously helped, but like
I had JoJo on the radio. He's like a legendary like radio jock on Kiss FM, and we had this whole discussion about radio, like the prominence of radio from maybe like 10, 20 years ago versus the prominence of radio and social media like to today. And so he was talking about how radio was this one source where you can sell things online, for example, and you can promote things. But nowadays we have apps where you can go on like Facebook and sell something, right? You can go on like motherfucking eBay and sell something, right? And so the importance of one thing has kind of like diminished because there's so many things in the world that can help promote that type of shit.
Right.
The reason why I mention all that is because back then, radio was used to promote a song from Louie Franco. It was used to promote a song from C.R. Crucial or Krazia or Twee, right? But now we have things like Instagram and TikTok and Twitter as the promotional outlets in addition to radio. So we have more things at our disposal to try to promote our shit. It's just a matter of how creative can we get to actually promote that type of shit.
Right. And I think that's where social media comes into play. Like, the sky's the limit when it comes to what you can do on Instagram and Twitter, you know? So I was very, like, kind of standoffish. And I'm like, maybe we shouldn't do this. It's kind of like, it's a bullshit lie, you know? But
yeah.
I was like, you know what, fuck it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? The worst that could happen, I got 300 followers, you know? That's great, you know?
That ain't that bad.
And for me, like, honestly, it's been a struggle. Like, whether I'm lacking on the marketing side and promo side, like, I really don't know nothing about that, right? Like, I know how to make music, you know? I know how to produce and shit, but, like, when it comes to promoting, like I told you before earlier in the interview, it took my management team to kind of get me out of my shell to start doing more promotion, self-promotion, being in front of the camera, you know, talking about my music openly. I didn't do that. Like, a year before or last year before May, I didn't do that, like, at all.
I guess the only caveat that comes with that is trying to, I mean, in a sense, you're kind of like tricking people to believe that like you're George Lopez's son. But however, if the music slaps to somebody, it slaps to somebody. So then at that point, you kind of just have to figure out like, okay, well, how can I present my music to somebody in a way in which it'll gravitate toward them, but it's also not tricking them at the same time. I think that's the goal for everybody who is legitimately trying to make it in this music industry, i.e. yourself.
Right. And, I mean, at this point, it's like we will exhaust any option that's available to us because at the end of the day, just like everyone else, you know, I want to make it. I want to have as many people as possible around the world listening to my music. Yeah. So if you ask me how am I going to get there, I don't know the answer, but I will do whatever it takes to get there. You know what I'm saying? So if it means tricking a few people, nah, it's fine. No. On a serious note, though, like I the best way for me would be to do it organically, and that's kind of what we're at. You know, the whole George Lopez thing was kind of like a trial almost. Like, let's see what happens, on some funny shit, and it was really hilarious. It was actually really, really funny. Now, like that we talk about it, it's like, whoa, like can't believe that actually happened.
It was just like a funny moment in your career.
that did give me these followers, these people that don't even fucking know me, reaching out to me like, yo, like your music is so fucking dope. Like I have screenshots of this shit. Like shit motivated me overnight. I was like, wow, like there's really people out there in the world that don't even know I exist that can possibly really be big fans of my music.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I got like 30 DMs that night. And I remember one person was like, man, you're motivating me to really get onto my music shit.
Really?
Like I've been sleeping on it for a while. Like
what song were you pushing on that video?
Way Up. Bitch, I'm going way up. Yeah. Because we had a video for it. So it was either between Way Up or Facade. And we just felt like Way Up was more of a slapper.
I mean, in a sense, too, it's like that way, video aside, the music actually was able to touch somebody.
Yeah.
I think that's more enough reason to continue doing what you do.
Right. And I mean, to your point, I saw those DMs. I saw the follower count go up a little bit, and it was really funny. I was kind of like, man, I can't believe we did this, but like also like I'm kind of happy we did because it kind of gave me a little bit of a confidence boost. Like, yo, like, you know, I should get out of my head and stop doubting myself a little bit. Like, people out there really fuck with my music. Mm-hmm. Like, let me fucking continue this shit. And
let me ask you this: when it's not music, and when it's not somebody like a Della or Jose who are like your managers, how do you deal with anxiety on a daily basis?
Now I talk to myself more. And I literally talk to myself out loud like, yo, why are you shipping right now? You know, like, yo, why are you having these thoughts that aren't even real right now? Like, these aren't real thoughts. You're manifesting these negative thoughts in your own head for I don't know what reason, but you need to fucking stop.
Yeah.
And I kind of snap myself out of it. Sometimes I let myself, a little bit like, yo, snap out of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I let myself dwell in it for a little bit. Specifically, this one memory I have, like, recent memory where I'm driving back from Fresno. I went to go see my boy, and I'm driving back, and it kind of hit me on the road, and I was like, man, why am I tripping? And I just let myself be in those feelings for like the whole drive back.
Wow.
And I was like, kind of at the end of it, I was like, you know what? Like, okay, I thought about it. I know what I need to think about moving forward. I know what I need to learn from whatever mistake I made or whatever mistakes I've made in the past that are making me feel like this. And now it's time to think happy thoughts. All right, I'm going to go home. I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to take my dog on a walk. I'm going to cuddle up and watch some Netflix. You know what I'm saying? Like, all these good thoughts, like, and I start to feel better. And then it kind of goes away after that. So it's kind of like a coming and going thing where, like, it does suck when it comes, but it does allow me to kind of be self-aware, you know? And I appreciate that about myself. I'm able to be self-aware about my surroundings and kind of where I'm at, you know, in life and where I've came from, you know, 5 years back, 10 years back. And learn from my mistakes, too. You know, we all make mistakes, and I've made mistakes in my life, and I allow myself to think about it. Like, you know what? You did this before, learn from it, and become a better person because of it. So,
amen to that, man. On that note, I just want to say, fuck anxiety.
Fuck anxiety. You know, we got the caps, we got the merch, you feel me? I got one for you.
Hey! There we go. I was hoping to wear this throughout the entire thing, but, you know.
Hey, better late than never.
We're just going to do this. Hey, for the record, I don't ever wear my hats front forward because I just feel Asian as fuck.
You look good, man. You look good. Yeah.
But my bun.
You had to pull your bun out from the front, bro. Man, I miss my long hair, bro.
It definitely looks different.
Hey, remember that girl who was trying to cut my fucking hat at the bar?
Well, she was trying to cut your hat
she
from the
really?
top?
Yeah.
Hell no.
People do that, though. People do cut their hats up here and they just have like a fucking bun coming out.
Oh no, I'm not that extra.
Hey, don't do all that.
Because eventually I'm gonna have to cut off the hair. I'm not gonna keep this growing up until my feet.
When I had long hair, I used to just pull it back.
Dude.
Cool.
Okay, I gotta ask you that, bro. Like,
What?
why did you cut the hair? I don't think we ever had a real discussion about this.
Cause I got kind of tired of it, to be honest with you. I was like, you know what? I want to do something new. And it was kind of like, what was it, like 2-3 months ago? I was still going through my whole little phase and shit, which I'm still going through, right? But it was a lot deeper back then, and I was like, man, like I kind of want to start fresh somehow. Sometimes it even takes me just shaving my face. Like, you know what? Like, I want to do something to kind of change myself and change my mindset a little bit. Sometimes you got to push yourself.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a haircut. Sometimes it's getting some new clothes. Honestly, like shopping, like
Man, sometimes
shopping is like
off.
a real therapy.
No one heard me.
A little bit of Pornhub.
You know, shout out Pornhub. Shout out yespornplease.com.
Damn,
Anyways,
All the money they make, you're gonna just
damn, bro. You might as well wear a shirt.
yo.
all the money
Hey,
they make.
Hey.
whichever way you find comfort in coping with your feelings, I don't judge. You feel me? Do whatever you need to do. Sometimes it's Netflix. Sometimes it's Pornhub, I guess. Sometimes it's a bottle of Hennessy. But you know what? Do everything in moderation. And just make sure you deal with
Jack
your...
off twice a day. You'll be good after that.
Hey, you heard it here first.
Anyway, okay, let's end it here because Andrew's giving me like a weird ass look. Tay, if you watch this all the way through, I'm lying.
No, he's not.
This is the lunch table, food for thought. I'm Nico Blitz. Louie Franco, where can everybody find you, bro?
Louie Franco at It's Louie Franco. I don't have a Twitter, just an Instagram right now. And Apple Music, Louie Franco. Spotify, Louie Franco. Title, you guessed it.
Hell yeah.
Louie Franco.
Also, expect a feature from Ty Banks in the future, too.
Oh, it's your boy Ty Banks. You know, Trisha, get the fucking camera out of my face, god damn it.
Finn! Yay!
Let's get it.